there's always a good side to everything. And, I've always been somebody that I feel like is an eternal optimist. I always try to find the good in everything. It's like the house could be on fire, you could be behind on your bills. Like, well, the good news is we got electricity. The good news is we still have food in the house, and so I think my wife gets frustrated by it a bunch because I say it very often. And so to me, that's what it means is it doesn't matter what's going on or how bad it is. There's always a good side to everything.
Welcome back to another episode of the Eternal Optimist podcast. I'm your host, Matt Drinkon, and today we have another special treat. We have a new friend of mine that I had the pleasure of meeting recently, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. But just to give you some context and some background, a couple things about Mr. Jordan Mendoza. Number one, he has an excellent podcast, which I'm so envious. It's getting more downloads than mine right now, so I have to learn from him a little bit here. In addition to that, he has more kids than I do. He runs more businesses than I do. He's incredibly successful in so many different ways that you can measure. I'm just excited to be here. And if you're watching on YouTube, in the background, he is the first and only person I've met that has a starting lineup figure from childhood still back there. He's just an incredibly amazing human being. So I'm going to let him introduce himself. Welcome to the show here, my friend Jordan. How are you today, Jordan?
Hey, Matt, thanks so much for the kind intro, and it's definitely a pleasure to be here. Hope you're doing well today up in North Carolina. I'm south of you down here in Georgia, and I'm a business owner. I've got a few different businesses, and like you mentioned, I've got 6 children, so that's that keeps me busy as well. Yeah, 6 kids, and all ranging from diapers to now in the workforce. So it's kind of cool just to see how each of them are in different places, and all of them have their own personality. So that always makes every day, every conversation, every argument very interesting. But I'm excited to be here, and my goal is just to add value to the amazing audience that I've been hearing about. So.
Well, okay. Kevin, there was a little brief moment there where I didn't hear what Jordan said. So just edit this brief pause out, please. Okay, great. I am so amazed and impressed and maybe a little bit envious here that Jordan's got 6 kids and he looks like he's half my age. Jordan, how old are you actually? If you have a kid in the workforce and one in diapers, I'm just amazed because you don't look a day over like 25. How old are you?
Yeah, I will actually be 44 in February. So my our oldest is going to be 20 in December, end of December.
Wow.
So yeah, it feels kind of crazy that I'm about to have a 20-year-old, and we've got a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-month-old. So got them literally on every age gap.
Well, I know this isn't part of the regular questioning in our show, but how do you manage to stay looking so young? I mean, probably some good genetics, but also what are you doing to keep good care of yourself? Because I'm just so impressed that you have a 20-year-old and a bunch of other kids, and you have this youthful energy about you. How do you do it?
Lots of basketball. I would love to play ball. So I'm playing
Nice.
ball, during the week at the gym and indoor, and then I play outdoor every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. I'm at the park for 2 hours, burning thousands of calories. And then I also still teach breakdancing Saturday mornings in my garage. And so that if you've never done breakdancing, maybe you've fallen before, and if you've fallen and had to get back up, then you've done breakdancing, you just didn't try to. And so it's a lot of calisthenics, it's a lot of upper body work, it's a lot of lower, it's a lot. So those things definitely. And then I think more recently, probably for the last 3 or 4 months, I also changed up some things just with my overall diet. So just doing more high protein, not a lot of carbs, really trying to take out sugar. And then some supplements that have been helping out, like apple cider vinegar and ketones, and, really just things that are putting good things in my body and trying to stay away from, the bad things going in. So that I think can attribute to it as well.
What's your relationship with alcohol? Because I'm curious because I stopped recently
Yeah,
and
no
I feel
alcohol.
different.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't drink alcohol either. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, you mentioned breakdancing, and I've back in the day, to pull this card off, over 20 years ago when I used to go clubbing, there used to be a time when I would do what might be considered breakdancing. But I wonder, as someone who actually teaches it, and you're from the ATL, so you know what dancing really is. What was your impression of this whole thing about the Olympics and the Australian breakdancer? Because I didn't want to like pile on and say, hey, you're a horrible human for doing it. But also, I kind of looked at it and said, that's not breakdancing. That just looks like a bunch of interpretive artistic dancing,
Yeah.
which is not the same to me as like club breakdancing. So, what was your impression when you saw it? I mean,
Yeah.
I know you had to have
I
seen that
honestly
since you're into
thought
breakdancing.
when when I first saw it, Matt, I thought it was like an SNL skit. Like I didn't
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
know that it was somebody really, really doing it because it just didn't look. It looked like it was a mockery of the sport. And so for me, it was like, okay, well, now everyone's going to feel like they can break dance, and I'm like, they really can't. It really takes a lot of
Yeah.
training and a lot of effort and energy. And so yeah, that made it look like kind of a joke. And then so everyone was, of course, like, I'm going to try it for the next Olympics. Go from my couch to breakdancing now that they kind of made a fool of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm not here to bash. I did kind of think it was funny, though. I didn't want to call anyone out and shame them. It looked funny to me. So, anyways, none of that was on the actual agenda. But let's get back to the real stuff. You've shared a little bit about you, Jordan. I'd love to ask you, what's the hardest thing that you've ever had to endure or overcome that you can share with us today?
Yeah. So there's definitely been a number, but I think for the show's sake, it would be when I was just 19 years old. I had been living in California, and I was doing sales. This is a year after high school, and
Okay.
we were actually going to be opening a new sales office out on the East Coast in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And so I was part of a crew. There's about 12 of us, and so we had kind of a caravan of 4 vehicles, and we were driving from California. We're going to do this cross country trip, and we made several stops through multiple different states, and eventually we were in Wyoming. And if any of the listeners have ever been or driven through or on I-80, it's just a stretch of highway that's very, very desolate. And so we're on this stretch of highway, and I was in the back of a Chevy King Cab truck, and my buddy Jeremy
Okay.
was driving, and there were a couple other passengers in the front of the vehicle, and my buddy fell asleep at the wheel. And when he fell
Oh,
asleep, when he woke up, he actually instead of hitting the brake, he hit the gas, and so we sped up north of 70 miles an hour, and then he actually overcorrected the wheel, and so the truck started sliding, and we flipped several times, and the truck eventually landed. And when this truck landed, Matt, I like was kind of got up, climbed out. The other passengers climbed out, but where our buddy was sitting, there was literally a hole in the windshield because he had gotten ejected, and he landed about 25 yards from where the truck landed. But we was like, our whole caravan was out there searching for him. We eventually found him, and he literally stood up, looking like a zombie, and he fell back on the ground again. And we knew that something was seriously wrong. And so our saving grace, though, was a few off-duty EMTs that just happened to arrive on the scene literally right after the vehicle had stopped. And so they were able to call a helicopter, get my buddy life flighted. At that moment, we were all still walking around. I kind of smelled some weird iron smell, and I reached down on my right leg, and my hand went in about a fist deep. And I had a cut 12 inches long on my right leg. I had a cut on my left leg 8 inches long, and I immediately fell to the ground. They grabbed like a heat blanket. I was losing pints and pints of blood, and I got rushed into the hospital. and put in for emergency surgery. And I almost lost my right leg. They had to rebuild the muscle. I had 52 staples between my two legs, and was told I may not be able to walk. And so, I wake up the next day, and the one thing I didn't mention is, in Utah, one of the guys that was with us, my buddy Branderis, we actually almost got in a fist fight. And we were in a Walmart parking lot. And guess what we were fighting over? It was who was going to ride in the cool truck. And I ended up winning the argument. And so when I woke up and I saw him sitting to the left of me, Matt, I looked him in his eyes and I said, I'm glad it was me. Because I thought about in that moment, what if he would have been in the truck sitting where I was and he had his seatbelt on? I didn't. And my body was able to maneuver in the vehicle, because if you looked at the truck where I was supposed to be sitting, it was completely smashed in. And so when I saw my buddy, I just said, man, like, I'm glad that it was me. I felt like I was supposed to be there in that moment. And, but, the recovery from that, as you can imagine, was hard. Going from, a walker to, wheelchair to walker to cane to crutches, that whole process. But, by the grace of God, within 6 months, I made a full recovery. And, it's crazy to think 24 years later, at 43 years old, I'm still breakdancing, I'm still running and jumping and playing basketball. And I really feel like I've have all these bonus years, that should not have made it out of that. But definitely the grace of God in that point. And it's something that, I can always reflect on, and know that when I'm dealing with something hard, when it comes to business, I know that I can push through it, because I've already been through something very hard. And the crazy part is there's countless stories, things that I've experienced even prior to being 19, whether that was being beaten and falsely arrested by police at 12, and that was some adversity to deal with, and stung by 53 bees in fourth grade. I mean, there's a lot of different things that I experienced. And then but the one thing I've learned from it all is that adversity truly gives us strength, and it enables us to look through a lens that most people will never be able to see through. And once we can kind of grasp that context, it doesn't mean that life's going to be easy. It just means that we know we can get to the other side of these circumstances that we might face.
Wow. I'm over here touching my heart, just thinking about, how it must have felt to find out later that you won the bet and you were in there, but you were not in that seat. You were in a different seat, and your friend could have been there and he could have been gone, and you made it. Just so much is rushing through, but what a story. If you could take us back to when you came to, you're in the hospital, and a doctor or someone lays out to you, like, here's a path, or here's what's going to happen. You may not walk. It's going to be difficult. It may be never, it may be a year. I wonder how you were thinking and feeling in that moment when that happened, when the doctor was telling you what the prognosis was and what's going to happen next. Can you remember what was happening then?
I was motivated. Yeah, I was motivated. Well, at first, I didn't understand, honestly, because I was drugged up on morphine. I mean, I didn't realize that this little button I'd been clicking, I thought it was to call the nurse, and I just kept clicking the thing, and all of a sudden I started hallucinating. And I mean, it was a pretty wild ride, I'll be honest. And they had to lower that medication, because I literally thought that the nurses were trying to choke me and I was hallucinating. And so they dropped my medication, and when they told me, they said, hey, this is going to be a long road to recovery. We don't know if, what the repair we did is going to hold. I mean, they're trying to give you the worst case scenario. So I think that's their job, and for me, I immediately just got motivated. It reminded me of, really reminded me of when I was in high school. I think I was a freshman. Our freshman math teacher came, found me and my buddy at the vending machines. We were skipping class and buying Josta and gummy bears. And the teacher brings the whole class down, and brings the whole class down to the basement, finds us, and says, "You two are never going to amount to anything." It was kind of like that moment, where I was getting this bad prognosis, and I just got motivated. I said, "There's no way. Like, I'm a break dancer. I play basketball. I was a runner. I'm the fastest guy in my class. And so I was just basically going into what I knew my identity was, and then of course having community. I had a lot of people back at my church back home that were praying. I had people that knew that this thing had happened, and I had so much support, and that makes a difference. That matters
Yeah.
when you have people, because not only are you working hard and you're trying to get to where you are, but you have other people that are in your corner, and man, that makes the process not, I wouldn't say go by quicker, but it actually makes you feel a lot better having that support of people around you. And so that all of that combined, I was able to, 6 months later, I was back out doing sales again, knocking on doors. And it was almost like it never happened, and it was just a very surreal experience.
Wow. Yeah. One thing I want to appreciate about you is that you found in that moment when the doctor was sharing a path, you found motivation. When the doctor said to me the same thing, that Matt, you may never walk again, when I had my zipline accident, it wasn't immediate motivation for me. It was, it was despair in the moment, because I cried right there on the spot with my wife, but it quickly turned into something that I'll always remember, and it was a turning point in life. Acceptance of the things out of our control. So for me in that moment, I found acceptance, and really what that led to was this deep inner peace, that I feel that I can handle pretty much anything. Pretty much. There's a couple things that I don't want to think about, but overall, in business, in life, having the idea of being able to accept the things out of our control, that was the feeling or the thought that happened with me when I had my accident, and the doctor shared it with me. You said that you had a community with you. You had a community praying with you. Has faith always been a part of your journey in your life?
Yeah, at times when you're a teenager and you're just being a knucklehead and doing stupid stuff, I think always I've known that God's been there, God's been with me, and I've again countless situations of circumstances and adversities that I've experienced, and just kind of knowing that you're going to be okay, and so that's something that I really was grateful for my mom, because she grew up Catholic, but she sent me and my brothers on the church van to go to a Pentecostal church, and so we got to experience what Sunday school is like, and going to camps, and kind of getting around that environment, and learning things things that I never will ever take for granted, because I know that I've been protected in so many circumstances, and I've been redirected in so many different circumstances, or had unexpected detours that weren't probably unexpected, and so I'm grateful for all of it. The setbacks, the failures, the lessons. You get to a point in life where you look back and you're grateful that they happen. Obviously, hindsight's always 2020, but when you're in the moment, sometimes it's hard. But on the other side of it, you get to look back and say, "Wow, I actually I dodged a bullet there." I could have went a completely other direction than I probably was supposed to go in.
Yeah, so much wisdom in that. Yeah, it's like in the moment of all the hard stuff, it's like, I don't know if I want to be here. I don't like this. But when it's done, you've grown and stretched. And now it's to a point, I'm at 47 years of age, where I actually kind of like the hard stuff, if that's even possible. I kind of look forward to it as a test, to test the preparation, to test your sharpness, your quickness, your resilience. I didn't used to think that way. But I think that hardness or that toughness, that's what really makes us strong men, strong people. If it's just a life of easy, then we're not really ready for hard. But I feel from what you've shared, you've been dealing with and overcoming adversity for so long. It just feels like, okay, what's next? It feels to me that you have really figured out how to be you, or how to overcome some of those hurdles. I just got to ask, 53 Bs, 53. What was that like? That just
53.
sticks in my brain here, man. 53 bee stings at the
Yeah.
What was
So,
that?
and to give context around like when this occurred, this is right after the movie My Girl came out. So I just watched this movie where this kid gets killed like in the opening scene from bee stings.
Yeah.
And so we were actually at a park. It was in fourth grade. It was the end of the year picnic. I have no clue why we did a fourth grade picnic, because you go to fifth grade next year. It was really weird. But we did this picnic and we're out at the park and we're playing baseball. This is when tetherball was legal. So there's kids playing tetherball. There was soccer. There was all these just games and hot dogs and coolers of soda. I mean, just a good old picnic. And I was up to bat and I swung the bat. And when I swung it, I kind of did one of those, I spun in a circle. The bat flew behind me and it flew under one of those big Douglas fir trees. And so when I went to go grab the bat, I grabbed it, I stood up, and there was a beehive on my head, literal beehive. And so I literally started running, Matt. I was doing somersaults. Kids are running away from me. There was like bees tailing me. The teachers were running away. Some of the good teachers finally grabbed big coolers and threw them on top of me, and they started picking the bees off of me. But it was crazy. It was like a scene from a movie. And I realized, that how people react in different circumstances. Some people are helpful. Some people run away and from danger, and so I just kind of saw the difference in how people react and respond in chaotic situations. And I'm very grateful that I wasn't allergic, because that's how I pretty much found out I wasn't allergic to bees. Definitely wouldn't have survived that. But yeah, we were at the doctor's and literally picking bees off me still and counting them up. And yeah, 53 bee stings, which was pretty wild. So,
dude, that sounds like it's now that it's happened and you're alive, it sounds like a comedy kind of, that you stood up and literally a beehive is on your head. Oh my God. Can't imagine. It must have been terrifying.
Yes.
Running around with the beehive. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of adrenaline. I mean, I was running, I was flipping. I mean, it was pretty crazy.
Man. Jordan, you've only shared a couple of things that have been really challenging, but man, I am just so impressed at your resilience, and you've been tested from a very young age. So I'd love to move into, what is it that you're really passionate about that's driving you now in your life?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because what I'm passionate about now is something I've been passionate about since I was 18 years old, and that is coaching. And really around sales and mindset and resilience. Because sales is 90% mindset and 10% physical, right? And most business owners struggle with a lot of things when it comes to a customer journey. Either they don't have their systems and processes set up correctly, or they get frazzled after one or two people tell them no or reject their proposal. And those things can hold people back. And I love helping people get past rejection and the fear of that. And I love helping people get themselves set up for success on the back end, to really give them their time back and make things more efficient. And so, a handful of years back, this is about 2019, I was so interested in the new concept of sales enablement, and what that was all about, and understanding sales process from end to end. So I flew out to Vegas, got a certification in that. And really what I realized is that I already knew sales enablement. I just didn't understand, all the nuances that they kind of had built into it. But it's really just understanding a sales process from end to end and being able to help people build out that customer journey. Because again, if you're attracting customers, but you're not nurturing them, then you're not going to convert them. Right? If you're nurturing your customers, but you're not attracting new customers, then you're not probably going to have more conversions, right? So there's all these different elements that I find that most business owners have one or two of them dialed in, or one of them dialed in, but they don't really have a full system in place that is repeatable. And that's something that I really enjoy, working with people one-on-one, coaching them. And a lot of it's really confidence building. Most of my clients I work with, I help them increase the value of their offers, because they don't think about all that went into getting the knowledge and skill sets. They don't add that to the cost of the offer, and they're literally leaving money on the table because they're worth it. But they're kind of stuck in a place of imposter syndrome, and they feel like that they're not worth what they're charging,
Yep.
even if it's at a very, very low level. And so, I love helping people, get past that, helping people kind of redefine what their value is, and then
Yeah.
using that to actually help more people, because sometimes when you offer something and it's too low of a price point, you attract the wrong person that it's meant for. And so when they can actually increase in charge, what they're worth, but their clients also get more value out of it in the long run.
100% agree. When you started into coaching, how did you overcome that first, let's say that first, because you know what? I'll just give some context. When I started coaching, I was asking people to pay me between $200 and $500 a month to coach them and help them grow and scale their business. And when the first guy was making a few $100,000, ended up making a couple $1 million a year within a few years, and I'm only have charged him up to $1,000 a month, I felt like, wait, something's off here. I didn't know what it was. Something was off. I didn't know my own value.
Yeah.
Does that resonate with you when you started your coaching practice back in the day?
Yeah, because I didn't charge anything. So I was definitely undervaluing, what I was doing. And I remember I still had my full-time corporate job, and I was making good money, and I was doing LinkedIn coaching on the side, just helping people with, getting their profile dialed in, the content strategy, just kind of showing them what I did to grow my brand. And my wife one day is like, "Hey, you're on the phone with a lot of people. You charging these people for your time?" I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea," right? So I was actually just coaching people for free, and it served me well because a lot of those people did get results, and so they ended up being testimonials, and they ended up helping me gain clients, and so I don't regret it because I love to help people, and sometimes that becomes our downfall because we have a big heart and we're very empathetic and we want to help people and we want to do good things. We end up undercharging or not charging in my case, which was not a good business decision. And so I did have to eventually come up with a price tag, which was too low at the time. But I hired a coach, and that coach immediately showed me, hey, you're highly undervaluing what you're doing. The last person got X results. You're charging literally this amount. You see where the difference is, right? And we have to, ask for help or go to people that have been there and done it in order to learn these things. It wasn't just like I was so smart that one day I was like, I'm charging 37% lower than I should be. And I'm not that bright, right? I had to hire somebody that said, hey, knucklehead, like, you should be charging more. You haven't thought about this. Here's the results that you're able to get. You should be able to be pricing it here. And so for me, I had to invest in myself. And that's what I encourage to anyone that I work with. Hey, invest in you. You need to invest in you. If you invest in you, other people are going to invest in you, and you're just going to get a better product in the end, And so that's what I needed to do to be able to see my value, is I had to invest in someone that recognized it, and someone that looked at my offers and said, this doesn't add up. The value that you're giving, you're severely undercharging. Here's where you should be. And so what's cool is that's the exact same thing that I help my clients with now, right? Because I had a great coach do that to me. And so now I'm able to look at my clients and very clearly and easily say, you're severely undercharging, and here's why. And so you have to be a practitioner, but you also need to ask for help. And those are two things that have served me very well.
Yeah, I think that's a key, from what I've seen out there, a differentiating factor between what I would call the higher tier top level coaches or performers, is that not only are they practitioners, like they're constantly getting their repetitions in, they're constantly working on their game, they're also, that ask for help part, that was so hard for me to do for so long. And it's like when I finally started to get help and join mastermind community or hire my own coach or be even open to feedback from people, like everything changed. It's like level one was, okay, I can accept a little bit of feedback from someone. Level two is, okay, I'll I'll hire a coach, low price point, I'll hire a coach and try it out. And then number 3 is, wait a second, there's something to this. Just let go, surrender, as Michael Singer would say, just give it a shot. And yeah. And now I'm in like 3 masterminds and I have 3 coaches that I work with in addition to that. So, and it's only leading to more abundance for me to serve more people. So I love what you're saying.
100%.
I agree with what you're saying. That was part of my story. How is your story evolving as it relates to, is it one-on-one coaching, group coaching? Give us a little bit more about, who your audience is and what your practice looks like, Jordan.
Yeah. So I've got a bunch of different ways. I feel like there's never a one size fits all, in business. And so because of that, I have lots of different entry points. I have free resources to get to people just to get a little education. And then I've got, kind of lower tier group coaching where, hey, you can come in and for about a night out on the town, you can come learn for 4 sessions a month and on topics that you probably need to know about, social media, digital marketing, email marketing, sales coaching, all the things that I do. And I do that because I want to help as many people as I can. And so I actually offer a 7-day trial for anybody. Come join us for a week. That gets you 1 live session, and then you see how my coaching actually is. I put my money where my mouth is. Hey, come join us. If you like it, great. And then stick around. It's only $97 after that on day 8, just to come hang with other business owners from all around the world. And that's something I launched about a little over a year ago. And it's been really, really cool value add to the business. And so outside of that, I do have my 6-week program that's centered around the context of LinkedIn. And what happens during that, the 6-week program is participants leave with a completely optimized profile instead of resume. It's built more like a sales page and really to position you from a storytelling perspective. And then I help with the content strategy, help out with a couple content tools. I help them grow their audience, teach them how to engage, and then teach them how to actually fish to bring in consistent clients on a monthly basis on the platform. And so that happens over 6 weeks, which is pretty fun. And then outside of that, for people that, they have bigger goals, like, hey, I want to build some revenue generating assets that I don't currently have in my business, and I don't know how to do this. I need other offers. I need more revenue streams. And so I do that over the course of either 6-month coaching or 12-month coaching. And again, this just depends on where people are in their business. If people are kind of just getting started, then they're probably going to start out in group coaching. If there's someone that, hey, they're already doing, 6 figures, multi-6 figures, and they just want to grow, then they're probably going to do something like 6 or 12-month coaching because they have specific goals. So really, I like working with people in all capacities. I would like to say I prefer one-on-one over group or one or the other, but I just love people, and I love just seeing the light bulb moments that people have and truly helping people get something tangible each time that I meet with them. And I think that's what my clients like, is that, like, if we're going to work together, we're actually we're executing together. I'm not just going to be like, hey, go do this and then check to see if you did it. No, how about we do it together? Let me actually show you what it feels like so you can build that muscle memory up with an instructor in real time, where I could say, no, well, let's tweak that. Let's back that out. And I think a lot of people don't deliver like that. They're not willing to hold people's hands. But again, I spent 8 years as a corporate trainer. So that's what I lived. That's what I breathed, built all the content, facilitated 8-hour classes. So meeting with people an hour, that's nothing. That's easy. Right. And so typically in a coaching capacity, you're not coaching your clients 8 hours a day or having to teach an 8-hour class. And so I'm basically kind of taken what I did in corporate for such a long time, and now I do it on a smaller scale with individuals and groups globally. So, but it's a lot of fun, and honestly, I don't feel like I'm ever working. I feel like I'm just, living in the element, having fun. And my favorite part is actually just open Q&A. And so we do these about 15 minutes of each weekly group coaching. It's just open. So someone says, hey, I'm dealing with this issue, and I'm just like, rattle it off. Here's what I would do. Let's do this. And then we get other people that get to join in and give their 2 cents. And when you can have a community like that of like-minded people people that are moving in the same direction, that's honestly where a lot of the magic happens. And I know you know that, Matt, being in the masterminds that you're a part of. So
Awesome. I mean, there's so much about your journey that I appreciate, especially that you were doing free coaching at first, and then your wife said, "Hey, I see you're talking to a lot of people over there." So I like that, because my wife and I have had a very similar
yeah,
conversation as the business has grown. Um, but to put your money where your mouth is and let people sample your program for 7 days without having to put anything down, just to be there and try it out, that speaks a lot as to what you have to offer, is that you gift them this opportunity to try it out. So I love that you have the confidence
yeah.
to
And I
offer
didn't
that.
mention, Matt, but so they get the one live session, but they get access to the whole library of replays immediately. So they could literally consume a
Wow.
year's worth of content in 7 days and leave if they wanted to. I mean, that's putting your money where your mouth is, for sure. Like, go
Wow.
learn a bunch, and if you just wanted to learn and leave, then learn and leave. It's up to you. But hopefully you stick around. I'd love to see you.
Wow. Amazing. Well, I believe that you may have an offer for our listeners today, Jordan. What might that be?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, if anyone wants to build an audience and they want to do it on social media or online, then I'd love to, for anyone that listens to this show, give $500 off of my 6-week program. And I mentioned a little bit about it earlier, but the program itself is going to take you from optimizing your LinkedIn profile to monetizing it. So if you have a LinkedIn profile or a LinkedIn company page, and you're either actively on there or you should be on there because there's a billion global active users that need to hear from you, then all you have to do is just reach out, send me a message on LinkedIn, send me a message on Instagram, and just send me the keyword Blaze, Blaze, and then I'll know you heard me on the Eternal Optimist podcast. And yeah, we'll jump on a call. I don't ever enroll people without speaking to you first, because just like everything, the program isn't for everyone. And so I want to actually have an initial clarity call just to kind of learn about your business, learn about your goals, and then see if it's the right fit. And then if it isn't the right fit, then I definitely want to at least resource you, give you some feedback and advice. If it is, then I'd love to work with you.
Wow. Amazing. And where might be the places we can go and find you, Jordan, if we want to check you out online?
Yeah, so you mentioned my podcast at the beginning of the show. It's called Blaze Your Own Trail. And you can just go to byotpod.com, and that'll get you to the podcast. It's on every platform you can think of. And, we're honored to be ranked in the top 2% globally for entrepreneurship, which is exciting. And I think we're in about 80 countries now. So definitely check that out. And then as far as the main website is just www.blazeyourowntrailconsulting.com. And that's where you can learn more about our programs and services as well.
Wow. Well, team out there listening, I've had a number of coaches on our show. I can tell you that from my estimation, Jordan is a top tier coach, and that's evident by the way that he is very articulately laid out how, through real life experience, he's overcome adversity, and then how he laid through each one of his coaching programs in a high level. If you reach out to Jordan, I'm sure you will not be disappointed. So please reach out to Jordan Mendoza, the Blaze Your Own Trail Consulting. So thank you, Jordan, for gracing us with this amazing story of the accident and then the bees, which I'm laughing but not laughing, because that just these amazing stories. And we didn't even get into the other story that you started to share. So there's definitely been some adversity you've overcome, and definitely you've earned your stripes in sales and in training. And so people check out Jordan on his website, on Instagram. Jordan, we're about to wrap up, my friend. I've got a couple lightning round questions. So let's enter and get ready. You're in the chamber here. Let's see. So I'd like to ask for you to share, if you're a reader, and I sense that you probably are a studier or a reader of some kind. If you're a reader, then what might be 1 to 3 books that have had an impact in your life that you'd recommend?
Oh man, there's too many to count, but I think I'm just looking over at my bookshelf right now. Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and it's not one of those heavy reads, but the value of taking an assessment and finding out where you are on that scale, I think is super powerful. Another book is Strength Finders 2.0, just taking that assessment and understanding our strengths and how we can leverage those for success. I think that's a tremendous book as well. And then Simon Sinek, Start with Why. I think that's another really great one.
Heck yeah, man. I think that I've watched that TED Talk probably like 10 times. And I recommend it all the time. And I love the book. So thank you for your books. About music, if there were an artist or a genre or a song, anything that just fills your bucket, what music inspires you?
Yeah, so I love 90s freestyle and break beats. So like Africa Bambaataa and Curtis Blow, I really like old school break beats is something I can listen to. And then also, European dance music. So trance, one thing we didn't really talk about, but I DJ'd for a while. And so I used to spin European dance music and break beats and things like that. So yeah, but anything with a beat, I love it as a break dancer. You just hear music and your body just wants to move. So
Awesome. I'm going to go type in all three of those things that you just shared on Spotify as soon as we conclude here. And I believe you've gifted me the music I will listen to when I put together the puzzle tonight, because I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to putting together puzzles. So I'm going to put on some Africa Bambaataa and some Curtis Blow tonight. So thank you, Jordan, for that.
There you go.
Let's go to the last question. And you have the last word here, sir. So you're on the Eternal Optimist podcast. When I say the words Eternal Optimist, what might that mean to you?
I think that it means to me that it just reminds me that the good news is, like there's always a good side to everything. And I've always been somebody that I feel like is an eternal optimist. I always try to find the good in everything. It's like the house could be on fire, you could be behind on your bills. Like, well, the good news is we got electricity. The good news is we still have food in the house, and so I think my wife gets frustrated by it a bunch because I say it very often. And so to me, that's what it means is it doesn't matter what's going on or how bad it is. There's always a good side to everything.